Chase is wide receiver. One.
Tell your grandma. Joe Burrow. Tell your mom. Tell Bob. From accounting.
Tell your grandma. One. Javante season.
It's throat punching season.
It's throat punching. It's throat punching.
It's throat punching season. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. Tell your mom.
Javante season.
Tell your mom. Tell Bob. From accounting.
Chase is wide receiver. One.
It's throat punching season.
Chase is wide receiver. One.
Tell your grandma. Joe Burrow. Tell your mom. Tell Bob. From accounting.
Tell your grandma. One. Javante season.
It's throat punching season.
The Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Take a lap.
What is going on, good people? What's going on with the timer on the screen here? What are we doing? What's up, everybody? You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. I'm your man, Smitty. And apparently, we've got another timer going. The show doesn't begin in 2 minutes. The show begins now. So, I have a lot to show you. And I had it on my screen here. Where is it at? Well, I had it all set up and now it's not in front of me. So let me go ahead and pull it back up 1 second. This is what I had to show you today. First piece of news. Khalil Mack traded from the Bears to the Chargers in exchange for a second-round pick and a 2023 sixth-round pick. So not even two picks in 2022. One of them's in 2023, which is kind of surprising. You know what I mean? Like this is not what you would call a haul. This is what you would call quite a win for the Chargers. Although because there's such a cap saving, or there's such a financial savings in general for the Bears, it's like a win-win. But it's one of those wins where, okay, the Bears aren't going to win games, and they've got to pay all this money to Mack. He has been banged up. I mean, I see the perspective of some of the Bear pages. One of my boys, Bear Down, he said everybody's nuts. Everybody's nuts for calling this a bad trade. And he's a Bears guy. I understand where he's coming from. Big amount of money that they get out from under. They're not necessarily winning now. But those are all things that are hard to swallow from an outside perspective, because we feel, if we're not Bears fans, right? Because I'm not a Bears fan. I'm a football fan. I'm a fantasy football fan. But I'm a Cardinal fan. But if you're looking at it from your team's perspective, if you can admit that you're not going to win, then like here's a diehard Bears fan comment. Let's read it. I haven't even read it yet. He's wearing a Bears jersey. I buy it. I'm a diehard Bears fan, but it's sad to see him go. But we need an offensive line and some receivers, so we have some money now to go find some. That's exactly what I was going to say. That from an outsider perspective, and my first reaction too was, you got worked, Chicago. But the money savings that's involved, The fact that you are getting a pick, and let's be honest, the league doesn't pay for players that are 31 years old. Like Mack, you're not going to get a first rounder. You should. Like I think it's a bad evaluation process, and I feel like NFL teams treat draft picks too highly. You know, to covet a second rounder, you could miss on that thing very easily. So would I rather have Mack than 2 second rounders? Yes. Would I rather have Mack than a second rounder and a 6th rounder, 2 different drafts, but save all the money? It depends what you do with the money. Like, if you can replace a lot of things and bring in offensive line, like you said, Zach, because the Bears are going to win in the trenches. They're not going to win any other way. They're basically admitting we are very far away from winning. And that's sad. You know, if you're a Bears fan, you're like, this sucks, you know, because this means that we literally are trying to suggest that during this man's reign, we will not be winning. And that's he, you know, that makes you feel like, okay, what's your time frame? Like 2-3 windows down the road, 2-3 years down the road? It's crazy. Like, it feels horrible. But I think why this trade looks so lopsided to the person passing by, you know, maybe the non-Bears fan, the fantasy football fan, or a fan of the Chiefs, or a fan of the well, really the AFC West. The Chiefs, if you're a Broncos fan, or you're looking at this and you're looking at this arms race in the AFC West, you're upset. Like, Chiefs fans are calling this garbage. You've got Broncos fans up in arms, you know, like how did they get this? You could have done this too. Apparently he was that cheap. Apparently you could have give up 2 second rounders and got Khalil Mack. And everyone in the AFC West should have been doing this, making this offer, sending it out to take away this weapon that now gives the Chargers some ability to go get quarterbacks like no other team in the league. Some would say Rams, but well, there's the AFC again. The AFC West, the West. The AFC West and the NFC West are going to get some Not only do they have the quarterbacks in the AFC and NFC West, we can go get the quarterbacks in both of these divisions. So this is crazy. The West is insane. But as I was saying, I think the reason why so many people are upset about it, from a passer-buyer point, me included, when I saw it, like at a glance, I'm passing by the news, I'm like, whoa! The reason it looks so bad is because the Chargers get so much more, they get better so quickly, and the Bears, you can't see any of it. And until we can measure it, right, Zach? Until you can measure what you're getting later, it's going to look really bad. It's kind of like saying, let me give you a $100 bill. You give me an IOU card that I can't open up until draft day and the next draft and see what I buy in the future. But here you go, $100 bill. That's what it feels like. So Dawson says Watson to Philly. Watson may play in 2022. Dawson, I know you're probably thinking he's a lock to play, like this is going to be fine, but there's a chance he never plays again. We'll know, hopefully, whether that's the case or know a little more, inching toward it on Friday. There's a very, very strong chance that this man, Watson, Deshaun Watson, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and one of the most shameful wastes of talent sitting on the pine right now. This man may play, he may not play, and a lot of people feel, it's weird, but a lot of people feel like it's just gonna be okay, like Mike Thomas. It's just gonna be fine. He's Mike Thomas. It's Ridley. He's just gonna be okay. Barkley gotta be ready. You know, like Watson's looking down 2 roads. One is never playing football again. The other road is getting traded and starting to move on with his life, but under a microscope, under the pressures of the league, that if another one of the 22 cases goes criminal, and that could happen, especially when you go through the process and somebody decides, you know what, I saw what happened over there with those 4 cases, I want to go criminal too. Like, it could happen at any moment. There's always going to be that risk and threat to take Watson off the field. So don't think because he gets through Friday, he's never at risk again of not playing. That's not the case. That just isn't the case at all. So be prepared for that. As for Mack and as for the Chargers, look, this means a couple things. This means a couple things. One, this man right here, even though this is a move on the defensive side of the football, improving this defense even more puts Herbert in better field position, and Herbert is looking like a king right now. Herbert is going to be number 2 in the NFL, or number 3 in the NFL. He'll be the number 3 quarterback. He'll be across the board in terms of NFL analysts and people just watching football and just stats in general and fantasy football. He's the number 3. He'll flirt with 2. I mean, he was the number 2 fantasy football quarterback last year. It will be no surprise if he's 2 or even 1 at the end of the year. Herbert could finish as the number 1 fantasy football quarterback. Would not be shocking whatsoever. He was number 2 last year. When I say Herbert's my number 3 quarterback and somebody's shocked and says, wow, that's awfully high, I literally want to scream. I want to get my megaphone out. Even if let's say I'm at the grocery store and I'm talking to a buddy and I'm saying, yeah, Herbert's my number 3, but I kind of like him at 2 even maybe, because, and somebody goes, that's awfully high, Smitty. I want to scream at him. I wish I had my megaphone with me, because the nerve on people to not know that Herbert was the number 2 quarterback in fantasy football in 2021. The nerve of some people not knowing that Herbert the GOAT will punch you in the throat. Do you remember when we came up with the Herbert is the GOAT, he'll punch you in the throat song, which I got to find and put it back on my computer here. When we played that, people laughed. And they said, "Go." You're throwing around the word GOAT so loosely, Smitty, that I don't appreciate it, because there's one GOAT, his name's Tom Brady, and you're using the word GOAT on your show like it's candy. You're just passing them out to everybody. You know what? GOAT has become a very loose term that we throw around because we look at, like, there's a difference. GOAT is like he's awesome to the moon. He's amazing. He's the GOAT. Love the guy. Top of his game. Top 5 guy. GOAT is Tom Brady. You got to understand the difference. When you're saying he's the GOAT, punch you in the throat, he's the GOAT. Look, there are a lot of GOATs, okay? You could be the GOAT. You know who's the GOAT right now? Kenny. He's late, but he's still a GOAT. He's a GOAT. Learn to use the term, okay? Roll with the times. Herbert's the GOAT, he'll punch you in the throat. But when we made this song and said Herbert's the GOAT, he'll punch you in the throat. Herbert's the GOAT, he'll punch you in the throat. And everybody started getting crazy when they see that, like, Herbert's the GOAT. He's literally turning into a top 3 locked quarterback in the NFL, and he's gonna get better. Like, it wouldn't shock me at all if 2 years from now, Herbert's literally the top quarterback that we're talking about year in and year out, like, he can develop. People not understanding. Why didn't I title this show Herbert? I'm talking about Herbert more than anything. I had everything planned out on my screens, and my computer's been acting up. I got to restart it. I'm trying to see where I set this up, or what's going on here. This is really, really making me angry. Is it this screen? That's a Devontae Adams one. Is it this one? No, that's a mock draft. Is it? Could it be? Oh God, it's so aggravating. I spent a lot of time setting up this screen, and I can't even find it. Herbert would not shock me whatsoever if this man Herbert was vastly improved. Not just like people say, oh, Herbert, he's going to do what he did last year. What he did last year was top 2 numbers. What if he gets better? What if Herbert throws, how many touchdowns did Herbert throw last year? I mean, there's so much room for improvement for Herbert to finish as the number 2 fantasy football quarterback. Herbert is the GOAT. He'll punch you in the throat. Herbert, we need hold music. Hold on, guys, I got to pull something up. We just cue it. Like, why don't I have that on screen? Here we go. So much room for improvement. Here's his stat line from 2021. You ready for this? You ready for this beauty? And this is a phenomenal year, and he can improve on this. He can improve on this in a lot of categories. 5,000 yards. Okay, let's be okay and happy with that. Let's say he throws for 5,100 in 2022. Okay, 65 to 70% completion rating. 15 INTs. He can improve that. He can get that down to 9. He could get that down to 9. Entering his 3rd year, he's learned a lot. 9 300-yard plus games. That's phenomenal. He could get 10 or 11. Okay, so we already have maybe 5. Let's take 5 INTs off. Give him 9 or 10. Let's give him 10. Take off 5 INTs. Yardage, give him another 100 yards. Let's keep it. Let's curb his yardage a little bit. Let's just say they're doing so well offensively, he's throwing more touchdowns than yardage. We'll get the touchdowns. 5 less INTs, 10 or 11 300-yard games, so add 1 or 2 of those. 38 TDs, give me 45. Give me 45. At me if you want. Give me 45 touchdowns for Herbie. Give me 45 touchdowns for Herbert in 2022. Punching people in the throat 7 more times. Give him 45 touchdowns. And his rushing, I didn't screenshot his rushing. I apologize, Herbert. The disrespect of that, I apologize. His rushing totals, let me screenshot those bad boys for you and put that on screen. He had 1 lost fumble and one fumble, period. 1 lost fumble. So he can work on that. Let's say he'll have none. Okay, he'll work on that. His rushing, 302 yards. Am I looking at that correct? Am I looking at what I think I'm looking at? 17.8 yards per rush. Am I seeing things? Am I seeing things right now? 17.8 yards per rush? Am I out of my mind? Am I out of my mind? Am I losing my vision? 17.8 yards per rush? Someone tell me I'm crazy. Someone tell me I'm off base and I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay, this dude rips him off. He rips him off for a living. His touchdown production's actually down from the year prior. He rushed for 3 touchdowns. He had 5 the year prior. This is crazy. This is crazy. Is he actually getting 17.8 yards per pop? Okay, per game. Thank God. I was like, what am I looking at here? That's per game. I was like, what is that per rush? What is that per rush? 13 divided by 63. Okay, thank God. I was like, what's wrong with my math? 17.8 yards per game. It looked like his average, 4.8. There it is. Good Lord. You guys got to understand, my system crashed, and I can't even see my screen right now. It's very tiny. My screen that I usually use is frozen, and I've got this tiny preview window box that has what I'm dragging on screen, and all I see is 17.8, and I can't tell what category it's in. It looked like 17.8 yards per carry. I'm like, what am I looking at? This cannot be right. Somebody correct it. 4.8. I pulled it up on the other screen here. 4.8 yards per carry, which is still phenomenal. It's not quite as nice as 17.8. That had a nice ring to it. 302 yards and 3 TDs. This man could have 340. We'll call it 38 more yards. 38 more yards. I know. My computer's good too. I don't know why. The problem is I'm doing so many things. I'm creating so many videos. I'm streaming so many times. My resources get all hogged up. And this thing locks up in the middle of live streams. It's not really its fault. It's a good computer. It's very nice. It's just I have like 100 images and graphics open when I close. I shut down. I got to restart every time I go live, and I can't really do that if I already did a live stream, did an upload on the new channel. I set up the whole thing. I still got it coming up in the corner here because this is my preview window. I don't even know what's going on right now. I'm gonna hit this button real quick.
This is the Fantasy Football.
And then this button real quick. Man, that's the countdown to the show, and literally everything that I created that was on the screen. It was a lot of information. It was pretty nice. Oh, here it is. This might be it. Is this it? No, that's old. That's old. I don't know where it went. Just what a disaster. I put so much time into that. Where were we at? 4 point. Okay, so Herbert's going to have a season. I wish I could see my screen properly. What do you guys say? Herbert, number 2 or number 3, number 4, number 5? Cast your vote for Herbert 2022. Where's he finishing? I want to see what some of you are saying right here. Throat punch. Thank you for the commentary. Mac attack. Chargers going to the moon. I can read this screen. Before I pop the messages on screen, I can read this box just fine. I can read all your comments just fine. Things are good. Matt sipping a nice cold one. What's up, my people? Steel. Thanks, pal. Hope all is well. Highway robbery by the Chargers. And I'm a Bears fan, says Martin. And again, Martin, the way I see it is it's a good move for where the Bears see their own team. They look inward. They say, we can't win now. Let's get some stuff. Let's free up the money. Let's get some stuff. Let's win in 2-3 years. And that sucks to hear if you're a Bears fan. Basically like telling you, don't buy tickets to the game this year. We're going to lose like crazy. Like, that's what that feels like. So I think a lot of people's reaction is, hey, this sucks because of what that statement, that's a big statement to make. And the reason it looks so bad is that the Chargers don't need anything right now. I mean, they need everyone's got holes, but you're handing them Khalil Mack. And now they have the best, like, quarterback destroying unit in the league. You could argue the Rams are still there, but, like, I mean, come on. What we're saying, okay, so back to Herbert. Why did I not name this live stream Herbert? I think I got to go in there and change the title a little bit. Hold on, let's Khalil Mack traded to Chargers. Justin Herbert to the moon. Deshaun Watson QB movement. That's what we need to title this bad boy, because goodness gracious, we've spent already 30 minutes on Herbert. I haven't even got to my point yet. Can't even see my screen very well. If I squint, I can, and if I get in, I can see a little bit. Herbert is going to be much better because he's getting better. He's maturing. And now you hand him a defensive piece like this that's going to get him in better field position. Part of why the Chargers struggled a little bit, I think, at the end was maybe due to a few things, but Herbert being in better field position would have helped him, I think, keep things on the course that it was on, the team and the winning and the momentum. He would have been able to keep the train on the tracks, and I think this is going to be such a big move for Justin Herbert as he's throat punching. We have, yeah, I mean, look, guys, there's a lot of good comments in here. I wish I could read them all. Wilson just got away from Donald. Not funny, I guess. Smitty, you're exactly right. They might actually draft the next Urlacher. Maybe, or they could miss. But the bottom line is, if you can't win, I don't trust the, what's his saying? Hunar saying? I don't trust the, trying to frame Watson, probably some rigged stuff against him because his girlfriend never seemed to break up with him. Or, Hunar, I understand what you're saying. Let's move on to Watson. So Herbert, the GOAT, punch you in the throat to the moon. Herbert shares, make sure you got him, don't sell him. Herbert shares are going up. This move, this Khalil Mack move, is going to give the Chargers field position like they've never had before. And for that reason, Herbert scores 42 to 45 passing touchdowns, still runs in his 3 or 4 or 5, which means that he might be on the verge of 47, 48 total touchdowns. That's a day. That's 18 days. That's having a day 18 times. 18 games. I mean, come on. Or 17 games. 17 games and 18 games. Like 17 amazing games. Unbelievable. Have a day. Have 17 days. Unbelievable ones, Herbert. Oh man, I'm so excited for Herbert. I'm a little frustrated because they're not going to be as good odds now, but they were one of the better, like people always ask me, Smitty, you predicted the Bengals to win the division and go far in the playoffs way back in January. Give me the next one. And my 2 picks, the offseason has destroyed. Like I've said them, but very few have benefited because I haven't been able to beat the drum over and over. But it's Chargers, even though these aren't rags to riches like the Bengals, the odds were fantastic. It's Denver Broncos and Chargers because you got to preemptively make the move before the Broncos get Aaron Rodgers or now we found Russell Wilson. And this move kind of craps on my Charger pick a little bit because now everyone's going to be picking them, and so now my 2 picks are just in a very short period of time vaulted up, and the odds are changing like crazy. But Watson, to address this from Hunar, let me tell you what I think on this, pal. You say you don't trust the situation entirely. It's probably rigged. It's hard. I'm not saying you're wrong because anything can happen, man. I mean, Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos, bro. Like anything can happen. NCAA season was canceled. That's one of the most shocking things I've ever heard because that's full of money. That's all money, and they canceled it. Like ever since that happened, I don't trust anything. I would have bet my life that there's no way Vegas or anybody would have allowed that. That's just so many things have shocked me over the last couple of years. I would say it's hard for me to imagine, Hunar, that 22 cases have all come together. There's no leaks. Hey, I was paid to do this. No one's come out like that and said that this was, there are people that have been embellishing a little bit maybe because they want as much as the person next to them or whatever. Like that, I can understand that. I can even understand one of these cases potentially being, someone just along for the ride. Like I'm not trying to diminish any of the claims. I'm totally guessing. There's no factual information in that at all. But like 22, really, really, really hard to imagine, Hunar. Not to mention, I kind of feel like, no offense, but I kind of feel like you haven't looked into it deeply. You're kind of more so like just hoping and talking about Watson from afar because he's actually admitted to a lot of what happened, but saying that it was all consensual. So what he was up to, this very strange behavior, Hunar, was not made up. The very strange behavior that's described in a lot of these, he says happened, but it was consensual when it happened. So I understand what you're saying, but there's a lot of stuff that was admitted that happened that's in these complaints that is pretty shocking. So to the degree of the reciprocation and all that, kind of crazy because Hunar, he would literally DM people that didn't have a big business, and it was everything from estheticians to massage therapists to trainers and all along a gambit of different situations here and professions. and he basically said, hey, come to my hotel room, you random person that has barely any business coming in. You're off of Instagram and you have a small little massage ad or something. Come to my hotel room. Or come. So it's very, very odd to have done this way more than 22 times. These are 22 cases coming against him. And so, let's see. Joel says not necessarily when our surgeons like to cut, grand juries like to indict. I mean, hey, Joel's not wrong here, because the grand jury will indict a lot. And on top of that, like, think about it from this perspective. So, Hunar, if you're anybody that's feeling like Watson's gonna have a very, very, very easy time on Friday getting out of this, let me paint a picture for you. Okay, you got a judge. Judge is sitting here. You got jurors, and I believe 3 or 4 of them can actually disagree, and this thing can still go forward. It's not a unanimous type thing, because it's not a verdict. It's like a decision of whether the case will move on at the criminal level. They indict him. Motion detected at the front door. Ziggy, show me the front door. It's probably a Deshaun Watson owner upset at my stream. Let's see. What's Miss Smitty doing outside? What's going on?
Okay, well, how about you?
Oh, she's on the phone.
I'm just looking at the weather.
Oh. Okay. Ziggy off. You guys hear Miss Smitty? Just looking at the weather. She's like, I heard you talking about indictments, and I got out of here. Get a little bit of fresh air. So here it is, Hunar. Okay, you're sitting there, right? Deshaun Watson's right here. Okay, he says, I plead the 5th. Did you do this, and this? I plead the 5th. Did you do this, and this to this individual? I plead the 5th. Did you do this, and this to that individual? I plead the 5th. He's literally instructed by his attorney. His attorney said he will plead the 5th on everything. You have 10 individuals, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. 10 individuals that have complaints, criminal complaints against Watson. Watson did this. Watson did that. Watson did that. Sit down. Number 2 gets up. Watson did this. It sounds an awful lot like that person's. Watson did this. Watson did that. Set it down. Next person. Watson did this. Watson did this. Watson did that. Wow, it sounds an awful lot like the first 3. Watson did that. 10 people are going to make their case for 10 separate complaints. It's consolidated. The whole civil side, I don't even know if the criminal side's technically consolidated or how that's actually, it's not a class action. They're 10 separate cases, and Watson's literally going to say, I plead the 5th. Did you do this? I plead the 5th. Did you do that? I plead the 5th. In what world are we expecting good news Friday? Because the grand jury has an obligation to pursue a complaint or a threat if there's no evidence against it, right? Like if 10 people are saying similar things and his answer is no, I plead the 5th. What do you think they're going to do? What do you think? 12, is it 12 on the grand jury or is it 9? Grand jury number of jurors. 12. Same thing then. So 12. Literally 12 people are sitting here listening to 10 different people read complaints, a lot of them similar. Doesn't matter. Like, here's what Samuel's saying here. And Samuel, I understand what you're saying. And I think you make the case for a lot of people. So I'm glad you said this, and I'm not shooting your thing down or whatever. Same lawyer for all complaints, a friend of the Texans owner. Do you think someone's going to take that into account, though, is what I'm asking. So B.A. Samuels, answer this question for me. Do you think the grand jury, do you think the 12 jurors are going to go, let's not believe the 10 people because we heard this rumor we shouldn't have heard because we're supposed to bring in fresh takes about this, right? This would be brought up later. But it's like, do we take this information here? It's probably the Texans owner and disregard the 10 individuals pleading and saying, this man did this. Will you please hear the case? Like, answer me honestly, B.A. Samuels. Do you believe what you're saying here is going to prevent the jurors from saying, this is important enough that we need to move forward to see if something's going on? Because the guy that's being accused is literally, I plead the fifth, sitting back. I plead the fifth. Like, tell me how 12 jurors and really 9, 3 of them. No, actually, I'm sorry. It's 7. All it takes, I believe, is 7. I think it's a majority in the grand jury to move forward. All it takes is 7 of them to want to move forward. It's not unanimous at this stage. It's majority. Majority of the jurors have to say, look, as much as we've heard these weird rumors about the attorney, and we can't base it off that. We have 10 people with complaints, detailed complaints, and the individual that they're accusing is not saying a word. He's not proving anything on his side. He's mum's the word. I'm not saying a word. How are a majority of a jury pool not going to want to hear it out to make sure? Because what a big responsibility this jury has on their plate to decide whether 10 people who are claiming very wrong things happened to them, and you're going to go ahead and ignore it because you think something's rigged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm BA, I would love to hear your response. I'm not ripping on you at all. You share the opinion of a lot of people. And Hunar, I would love to hear your response too, and it looks like you're here we go. Man, I don't know. It's low-key so hard for me to wrap my head around this unless Deshaun Watson portrayed whole made-up persona to everyone in public. But you're like, you know what I'm saying, Hunar? You have not presented one piece of, and this is not a negative to you or your stance. I'm just trying to paint a picture. You have not given me one piece of information that helps fight the case. You're telling me you can't imagine this man, Deshaun Watson, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying, bro? Lawyers are professionals made to create things like millionaires and billionaires literally have such unfair power in society. You're not wrong, Hunar. You're not wrong, but it still doesn't change that on Friday, he's saying, I plead the fifth, and 10 people are pointing their finger, and the jury's got to say, again, please, B.A. Samuels, Hunar, those of you that are pro Deshaun Watson side of this, I am not saying he's guilty. I don't know, though. And if you were on this jury panel, I almost guarantee you, based on what we feel is going to happen, unless he changes his mind and doesn't say, I plead the fifth, there's no way for this jury to feel comfortable saying, okay, we won't even look at it. All the grand jury indicting is doing is they're going to take it to the jury. They're going to take it further. They're going to take it to the courtroom. And if you don't know, and the person being accused won't say anything, you have to go forward. Right? Am I wrong? Does anybody here disagree with me? Because I don't understand how there's such a positive outlook for this. Oh, I know why. Because you own them in a dynasty league, or you're just hoping for good things, which is good that you're excited about your football team. It's good that you are trying to think of this from a positive perspective. But this jury will not sit back and just kind of heard about this case. Seems like the Texans owner might be out to get him, which he very well might be. We don't know. That's speculation too. But a lot of people say that. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But this jury, majority only has to say move forward with it. Convicting, it's unanimous, but they have an obligation to 10 people that have come together and say, no, 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 no. This guy did this. Yeah, he did that. Yes, he did that to me too. He did that to me. He did that to me and this. He did that to me too. 10 people. 10 people are pointing their finger at him. The jury has an obligation to hear it out. That's all that means. They're gonna. I just don't see how this can end well. They have to present evidence, but their complaints detail everything that he did, and they're going to the proving of it is in the court case. Yeah, there has to be substantial evidence, but evidence can be he said, she said stuff too, bro. You know, and then that's going to be proven. No one's saying that that's very reliable, you know, when you say he said, she said, but there are, you know, maybe you're telling me there aren't any witnesses that they told. That's evidence. Whether it gets shot down in court, reliable witness, non-reliable witness, things like that happen all the time, bro. You don't need an actual physical piece of evidence. You could say, hey, I came home crying, told my girlfriend about it. Now she's a part of that process. She will be a witness, whether she's a credible witness, whether that person's lying to help their friend. All that comes out in court. But all the jury has to hear is this man saying, I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. And then they're like, what do we do? How do we rule in favor of not going forward when the accused is like literally not talking to us? He's played the fifth. How is this not going forward? I'm saying nothing concerning Watson. If convicted, we probably still get suspended for less than Calvin Ridley. Dude, the way the world works, wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me at all. They're like, Calvin Ridley, you may never play again. Watson, 3 games for you. No, Watson will be done for the year. Here's the thing. The league can't put him on the exempt list until this thing gets... If he's indicted criminally, he will be put on the commissioner exempt list. He will be suspended, and the Houston Texans will not owe the $35 million to Watson. The Texans want probably this more than they want to trade him, to be honest with you, the way that they've been acting and how badly they want to just bury this man. Regardless of right or wrong, whether he's innocent or guilty, the Texans still are portraying a team that wants to see the man ruined, because beforehand, and that's my opinion, and that's a lot of people's opinions, but that's my opinion. I have no evidence for that. That's just my guess, my observation, my opinion based on looking at it, that the Texans literally refused to trade him last year and then said they sat him for $10 million. Like, we're not going to make you want to go somewhere else? No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Sit the bench. Like, so they can get out of this contract. They can get out of this contract if he ends up getting suspended. Yes, a grand jury looks at everything, but it's up to the prosecutor to see if they have enough of a conviction that is the purpose of the fifth. Well, I'm not saying they aren't looking at evidence at all, bro. I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be like a videotape, you know, like everyone thinks, oh, well, if there's no evidence, it literally can be accounts from other individuals. It can be maybe one of them, posted a picture to their girlfriend or what. Like, we don't know. We have no idea what each of these individuals is holding, but my guess is that 1 of 10 of the individuals has some sort of evidence that's worthy of being looked at further. You know what I mean? Like, the odds of, if let's say, is it possible that 10 people are making stuff up? I mean, sure. And that's why it's not 100% locked that this is going to go down the wrong way. But it's hard to imagine. I think a reasonable person could say it's hard to imagine that 10 people are completely making this situation up. Do I think it's somewhere in between? Probably. You know, there's always gray area. There's always overlap. There's always he said, she said. Everyone's argument, when 2 people get in a fight even, and this is not a fight. I'm not trying to diminish the claims. I'm just saying in general, when 2 people get in a fight, there are 2 completely different stories that collide. One person could be way more wrong than the other and get physical or whatever, but there still are 2 different arguments, and we don't know what each side is, like could Watson be in the wrong but not as in the wrong? Like, yeah, could he have done stuff and because he's a big celebrity, he pressured people into doing stuff and people did stuff they regretted? And this is total like speculation and just playing out a situation, but then later on regretted it but felt pressured, and now there's so many ways this could have gone wrong for him when he repeatedly did what he did and reportedly admits to a lot of it, but just that it was all consensual every single time. So tough to say. No one knows. None of us know. But if you do read the complaint, some of the things that are being accused are absolutely crazy. And the fact that in the civil complaints, 20 plus people are saying very similar things. Under one attorney, under the guiding of one attorney, that's consolidated, not class action. I understand where people could say, well, this attorney's pulling strings and shaping everybody's story. That could be true too. But it's still, like, I know what you guys wanted. Sonny and Hunar, I know you guys sound very, very defensive to the Watson side, and I understand why. But I just think I'm not saying things are going to go for sure badly on Friday, but I think it's very, very much more concerning than I think people are painting it. Like, people are saying Friday he'll be fine, he's going to get off, and people start talking about where is he playing next year. What do you mean where is he playing next year? Let's get through Friday. Let's see if he's playing at all before we start talking about exactly where. Now, would I trade for him? Do I like dice rolls? Like, would I trade for him? And I'm not one of those people that are going to tell you we're going to take him off the show and we're not going to rank him anyway. Like, we don't know until innocent or guilty. We're not casting judgment on Deshaun Watson yet. We don't know. Okay, so he's innocent until proven guilty in our eyes, in all of our eyes. Everybody in the world deserves innocent until proven guilty. Okay, everybody. So I'm not casting any judgment or anything on the man personally yet. I will say, I can give you my opinion and my projection that, I mean, it seems awfully hard to imagine that 22 people are all together behind this, but is it possible? Sure is, which is why I will not necessarily cast any concrete judgment on the man. But you gotta admit that it doesn't look very good for him on the civil side, which can affect his play, because civil can't affect. You can't put him on the exempt list for civil. But 10 of them have come over to the criminal side, and that's what will be decided on Friday. Ronaldo says he has Watson, Kamara, Ruggs. You always seem to have the worst combinations of players at the worst possible time, Ronaldo. You need to use my sleeperu.com, bro. Sonny says, not defending him, Smitty. That's just the law. But I'm not saying anything you're saying is wrong, though. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I agree with you. You need evidence. Evidence will be presented. It's not just them reading it. I never once said there won't be evidence that's being presented. But I'm saying everyone's assuming there isn't evidence. Like, when you say there's still evidence that needs to be talked about and used, like, of course. But the complaints map out everything that happened, so everything's already been looked at, and you got to think that they've collected as much of the potential supporting, corroborating pieces of this case. They have that in place. There's no way they just have zero. There's something that they have to back up some of this, whether it's, like I said, conversations with individuals. It's really, really hard to imagine that this is gonna for sure go well. 22 all agreeing with one lawyer. Will they all be wearing the same outfit? See, you are a little biased against the situation, Samuels. You can tell by the way you're framing it. Like, I get it. One attorney does sound crazy, and I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that somebody is orchestrating everything, but I don't understand why you would assume that these women are not telling the truth, or some of them are not telling the truth, that all of them are completely lying about everything. It's just really hard to imagine, bro. I'm not saying I'm not gonna cast judgment yet, but it's hard not to be influenced, is what I'm saying. And it's hard to imagine that a jury's not going to want to look at it, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying guilty or innocent yet. But when there's 10 individuals on the criminal side, and the man being accused is saying, I plead the fifth the entire time. Tell me how. How does that look good for him? He's not defending himself at all. If he's innocent, I want to hear him tell us why. If I'm on the jury and 10 people tell me this happened and there's some evidence, you're right, Sonny, I'm not saying you're wrong. There's some evidence, it's going to go forward. One lawyer is a red flag, but that's your assumption, and it could be like an explanation for it. Could be that this guy had the ability to make 20 of the 50 people feel comfortable enough that they could do it in a way that felt like, okay, I'm not alone. Like, this is how he was able to bring 22 people together. But the bottom line is there is reportedly more than 22 people, which is an assumption that a lot of people make, but it's because there's no class action, and there might be a inability to make it a class action for a lot of other reasons, because like the size and number of people or whatever. I'm not too sure on that. Tony the Tiger, we've had an attorney on before. A lot of what I'm telling you is coming from an attorney, bro. Like we had Tony the attorney on to discuss this, and he said that from what he's gathered, I believe I don't want. It's been so long since he came on to talk about this piece of it, so I'm trying to remember correctly, but there were so many individuals potentially that they couldn't corral into this, that they couldn't make it a class action, that you couldn't necessarily feel confident that you had contacted every individual that may or may not have been a part of it to give them the opportunity to come into the class action. Okay. Ezekiel and got paid to do it. What is this about? Why does he want to answer questions he doesn't have to answer? And that's fine, Matt. That's fine. I understand where you... I mean, there are 3 or 4 of you that are obviously adamantly on Deshaun's side, and I respect that because everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but it doesn't sway me. Like, it doesn't sway me, and I know I'm not swaying you, and I'm not trying to sway you because I'm not against Watson. I'm merely telling you that Friday doesn't feel like a lock. That's all I'm saying. Friday doesn't feel like a lock of good news, to be good news. And this is a correct statement, that the bar is much lower for civil than it is criminal. That's absolutely 100% correct. And I believe Tony even said that when he came on our show. So anyways, Watson, we'll see. Smitty, if he plays, where are you thinking is the most logical? Carolina right now. If he escapes Friday, if we even know, part of me feels like we're not going to really know Friday. Everyone thinks we're going to know Friday, and we don't, you know? But if let's say everything goes well and he escapes potential criminal pursuit, then I believe Carolina is going to be in hot pursuit of him. I believe that there's a lot of Philly talk, which doesn't surprise me because I feel like they're so against Jalen Hurts, but I couldn't imagine, like, I personally couldn't imagine that happening. Like, why would you trade for Watson when Hurts is still developing? And everyone says Hurts is hot trash, he's inaccurate. This man hasn't been supported properly. Bring Hurts to the Cardinals. I don't think Tampa Bay's interested in trading for him, but you never know. I think Pittsburgh says they're not interested, but maybe they changed their mind and maybe that report wasn't accurate or something like that. But I think Carolina feels, if I had to put a bet on a team, I would say Carolina. Okay, here we go. Joel's got it, the ticket. Since there are a lot of people that are supportive of Watson, if you think Watson is innocent, smash the like button. If you think he's guilty, smash the like button. QB roulette this year, it's crazy, man. And when one QB lands in one place, it's like, bro, it's like it changes the whole landscape. Nash says he doesn't have to prove his innocence. The burden of proof is on them, they have to prove he's guilty. That is correct in the grand scheme of things. Once it goes into the courtroom, they still, to some degree, have to prove there's enough evidence to move forward. That's for certain. Like Sonny said, there's evidence that is presented or whatever, but it's very different. It's not the same thing about, hey, let's take it further. Let's actually indict them and go forward. As whoever said earlier, indicting happens more than it should, to be honest. So indicting is a lot easier. The burden of proof is a lot harder in a case or in court, but to actually get indicted, it's a lot easier than it is than that second part, of actually being convicted. So indictments are not like the hardest thing in the world. It's such a tough topic. I know there's so many people that want to defend him like adamantly, and I get why, because we live in a world where he is being painted as guilty when he shouldn't be. But do I think personally, if the evidence, I don't have the evidence, so I can't say this. I'm not saying he should be indicted because I don't have the evidence presented to me. I'm not going to guess and try and tell you a man's life should be ruined when we have no idea if the evidence is strong or not. But if there is strong evidence, even for one person out of the 10, and he's saying,
motion detected.
I plead the fifth. Here's another Watson owner. Ziggy, show me the front door.
Okay.
It's Swaggy. Ziggy off. Hurts is rubbish. This is a widely shared viewpoint that makes me scratch my head, because the guy hasn't even been given a shot, a proper shot. If he walks, it was all BS, says Samuels. They will be interesting if he walks from it Friday. It will give us some insight as to how strong the civil side is going to be. You know what I mean? It's a good point. Steelers already ruled them out. We heard that. We're just not positive that report's legit. We also heard. Can I give you an example, Matt, of why this can't be trusted? Steelers already ruled themselves out. Pete Carroll, we're not trading Russell Wilson. We're not interested in that. 7 days later, Russell Wilson's traded. So it's smoke season, bro. It's smoke season. Man, we're already done with the show. We got some good insight on how Poles is going to proceed. More picks, more money. Yeah, I mean, again, back to the Mack. We'll stop with the Watson. Back to the Mac real quick. This dude's gonna help out Herbert so much. This dude's gonna help out Herbert so much. Herbert to the moon and back to Pluto, to Neptune. Let's roll, because Herbert season is just getting started. Mac is gonna help this team with ball control. This team is going to have good field position more often. It's gonna be an unbelievable season for the Chargers. Would not shock me at all if the Chargers won the division. Like a tough division. Wouldn't be shocked at all if Herbert was he was whispered about as an MVP candidate, but then it kind of faded. It wouldn't shock me at all if he was in the top 3 or 4 all season long up to the bitter end. Maybe he wins it, maybe he doesn't. Wouldn't shock me at all if he won MVP of the league. Herbert's gonna have that big of a year. Man, it's just such a big move. Such a big move. Traded Watson away for an entire 2023 draft class 1 through 5. That's a nice haul there, Mike. I'd do that too. I can't believe how much love Hurts gets. He's horrid. You're wrong, Mike. No one gives him love. Everybody shares your opinion. And I feel like the dude hasn't even been given a shot. He's better than Jimmy G. He's better than Wentz and all, and yet he could be had very easily if a team wanted to trade for him. Washington could have picked up the phone and said, "Hey, forget Wentz. We'll take Hurts. We'll let everybody hate a little bit. Let's bring in a guy who could rush for 1,000 yards on the ground. We'll take him, and that's better than Wentz. Why not take a shot with Herbert or Hurts? Why would you not? They clearly don't want him. You could get him for cheap. I would give him a shot. Hurts was actually he was held back. He was held back. He's been benched, held back. I don't understand it. I disagree. I'm not saying he'd be top 5. I'm saying he's a top 10 potential quarterback if he's nurtured and brought up right. But he's not. He's not. I'm in Philly, a Philly fan. Yeah, of course Watson's an upgrade. I'm a Philly fan. I love Hurts, but if Watson clears, he's a massive upgrade for sure. But you have to get rid of Hurts. You got to trade him and get something. Give him to Pittsburgh. Let Pittsburgh have a running quarterback. I guess that would kind of take away from Najee's touchdowns though. But better than having Jimmy G. I think Hurts with Najee is better for Najee overall than Jimmy G is. I can't stand. Let's see here, Smitty. How far up are you? How far up are you moving Herbert? He's 3. He's been 3 for me all off season. Well, no. Actually, Burrow was in the beginning. I'd say about a month ago, I moved him on my rankings, on my sleeperu.com rankings. Herbert's number 3, Burrow's 4 on my rankings. Top 10 fantasy QB. Who is? Hurts? I think of course he is. Oh, you're saying top 10 fantasy QB, not top 10 quarterback. I hear you. What else do we got? Okay, that's going to do today's show. I will see you all 7 p.m. tomorrow. I may be live tonight later. We may do a mock draft or just do some kind of Q&A. Appreciate everybody watching. I got to restart my computer, figure out what's going on. Stupid thing. I had everything prepared. The show looked phenomenal. It looked so nice. I had it all set up. I'm trying to see if it's on some other screen somewhere. It looks like it's missing. I don't even know what happened. I had the graphics all ready to roll. Hogwash. All right, everybody, appreciate you. Kind of a downer episode today, talking about Watson and all that, but at least we had Herbert. We started it off positive, but it's always tough talking about this. Like, yeah, quad box should be later. It's always tough talking about it. It really is. So, peace out. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. Maybe tonight. Definitely going to be on the doing the quad box show tonight at some point. So I'll see you all later. Let's get ready for the Watson QB carousel to start tomorrow. We'll see, Matt. We'll see. But quad box show tonight. I'll be on YouTube on the quad box show tonight. If you don't know what that is, on my main YouTube page, scroll to the bottom. You'll see my quad box channel. That's a Niners show I do. And we'll be doing that tonight, probably, I'd say like in the next hour or so, maybe. All right, appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new.